What if I told ye that 15,000 churches in America could close this year? Yeah, 15,000. That's not a small dip. It's a spiritual earthquake shaking the very foundation of faith across the country. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We frequently publish more news on our website. You can read it there. Let's get real. Churches aren't just buildings. They're community anchors, food banks, child care centers, and even shelters when disaster strikes. But in 2025, across small towns and big cities alike, thousands of those lights are flickering out. Experts and denominational reports now warn that America could lose 15,000 churches this year alone, far more than the few thousand expected to open. That's not just decline, that's collapse. And it's not stopping here. Over the next decade, this trend could hollow out entire communities, especially rural ones that rely on their local churches for more than just Sunday worship. So what's happening? The answer's layered, and honestly, it's a bit heartbreaking. A record number of Americans, 29%, now identify as religiously unaffiliated. Just think about that. Nearly 1 in 3 people no longer claim a faith tradition. Meanwhile, the share of Christians has dropped from 78% in 2007 to just 62% today. And while small, local congregations are struggling to keep their doors open, giant non-denominational megachurches are booming. They're led by charismatic pastors with massive online followings, catchy sermons, and political influence that stretches straight into Washington. It's a strange contrast. Fewer people sitting in wooden pews, but more talk about faith shaping our public schools, our politics, and even our laws. Let's put this into perspective. Tom Rainer, a former president of Lifeway Christian Resources, says the wave of closures isn't just coming, it's here. Another 15,000 churches are about to switch from full-time pastors to part-time. From full-time pastors to part-time ones. The National Council of Churches goes even further. They estimate that 100,000 churches across America will shut down over the next several years. That's roughly 1 in 4 of all churches in the country. Imagine a map of the U.S. Every 4th steeple gone. Every 4th community center silent. Every 4th church bell never ringing again. Most of the closures, they're happening in mainline Protestant denominations. Methodist, Presbyterian, Lutheran. Faiths that once united Americans across political divides. Now, they're vanishing. And what's left behind isn't just empty pews. It's empty buildings, many attached to historic cemeteries that make them almost impossible to sell. You can't just turn a church next to a 200-year-old graveyard into a Starbucks. These places are frozen in time, monuments to a faith community that once was. And it's not just Protestant churches. Catholic parishes are shrinking too, weighed down by declining attendance, aging infrastructure, and fallout from decades of abuse scandals. Take Baltimore's Catholic Archdiocese, the oldest in the nation. It's cutting nearly 2/3 of its churches. 2/3! That ain't just trimming fat, that's amputation. Andrew Chestnut, a Catholic studies expert, put it bluntly. The only ones showing dynamism right now are the non-denominational, charismatic megachurches. But even those massive congregations aren't as stable as they look. Sure, they pack arenas and rack up millions of YouTube views, but their membership churn is sky high. People flood in, then quietly drift out. Why? Because the connection often depends on a single personality at the pulpit. When that leader faces scandal or simply passes away, the church itself often unravels. And here's the twist. These same megachurches are now closely tied to political movements, especially MAGA-aligned conservatism. Experts warn that could backfire, especially with Gen Z and younger millennials who dislike being forced into religious behavior. As one scholar said, if ye make kids pray in school, they'll do the opposite. So, what does this mean for America? Maybe it's not the death of faith, but the rebirth of how it's expressed. Smaller congregations fade. Megachurches rise. Online ministries flourish. But community? That's the piece we risk losing. If the church was once the heartbeat of small-town America, the pulse is now faint. And here's the question only you can answer. What replaces it? If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We frequently publish more news on our website. You can read it there. Because what's happening in America's churches isn't just about faith. It's about who we are when the steeples go silent.